2015 was when I lost my grandmother. Yeah, I grew up with my grandmother, so we are very, very, very close. I think then of course she had dementia, and I think she was never the same. And I think the cool thing about grandmothers is that they just think that you're the best thing in the world, right? They just think that you're the best at everything. Then I think during the process from 2014 to 2015, I was doing a lot of races, and basically she always asked, "Hey, 你有赢吗？你第一名对吗?" But no lah, I didn't, right? So back in my heart I was like, okay, one day I'll win for grandma, right? And then I should be proud. And unfortunately she didn't get to see it, but I raced in a memory line, and that day. It was really incredible. I really could feel it, and you just know at the back of mind that I think this is it, and this is the one you're gonna win. And yeah, I came in third overall. So there were two foreigners that came in before me, and then I came in third, and I got a net champ jersey lah.
All right, we are here at RS Cycle. I'm here with national cyclist Willy. Willy, thank you for coming onto my show. And this is the first time I'm actually out of the studio. I mean, obviously my first couple of videos were back at my car park. I was going out to people's places and filming. But this is the first over at the bike shop, so I got to thank RS Cycles for hosting us. Willy, I got to know you through Yuva, who runs RedWhite. I interviewed him once, so I got to thank Yuva for hooking us up as well. What do you do for a living?
I'm not sure what I say will come out as an advertisement. So,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in the biking industry actually. I run a company called RedWhite Apparel. If you think about what you replace often as a cyclist, it's going to be socks, usually socks. And the next thing will be bibs. The strategy for me was I didn't want to do jerseys. I wanted to do this one item that everybody will need every year, and they'll replace it on a fairly frequent basis. So it's it's fairly highly recurring purchasing, so the business becomes more sustainable. So that's why I went to bibs mainly.
Yeah, thanks Yuva for hooking me up. It's a great opportunity. Thanks.
Yeah, we've got a lot to learn from you, but maybe before we go there, to my overseas viewers, as I like to call them, who don't know who you are, maybe give us a bit of introduction to yourself.
Okay, so I'm Yong Liang. So that's my actual registered name. My friends know me by Willy. I guess if you've seen me on Instagram, my handle is Crank and Pedal. Had owned that handle since I was like 15 or something when Instagram started. So I'm a national rider, so I race bikes for almost a decade. I started with mountain bikes, and then I made that transition to road biking, I think like 4 years after, I think. So I started road biking as a way to get to school, really. I studied at NTU, so if you're a Singaporean, you are familiar. NTU is like on the western end of the island. So I stayed in the hall, so it's like a hostel. So I rode twice a week. So I rode to the hostel at the start of the week, and I rode home. So I got a road bike specifically for that purpose. And then after that, I think naturally, by that time I was already racing mountain bikes, right? So there's still that competitive streak. So basically, whatever that has two wheels, I want to race it. And that's how I started racing road bikes, essentially.
Transform your cycling experience with the Cyc Plus AS2 Pro and AS2 Pro Max e-pumps today. Say goodbye to manual pumping. The Cyc Plus AS2 Pro and AS2 Pro Max is an ultra portable with aluminum alloy body. It inflates two 25C tires from 0 to 80 psi on a single charge and fits both Presta and Shudder valve effortlessly. Featuring a digital built-in gauge, you get a precise pressure readings every time. The AS2 Pro Max offers even faster inflation and enhanced performance, making it the reliable choice for serious cyclists. Join cyclists worldwide who trust Cyc Plus and enjoy worldwide shipping straight to your door. Plus, use my promo code OLC for an exclusive 10% discount. The Cyc Plus AS2 Pro and AS2 Pro Max are the cheapest on the market with this offer. Don't miss out and upgrade your ride with Cyc Plus today. Visit cycplus.com now and use my promo code OLC for your discount.
So it started back in NTU days.
You could say that for the road bike. Yeah, okay. Definitely. Yeah.
I had Boon Kiak on my show before. We've got Boon Kiak, who is a national cyclist for Singapore. By the way, when he came into the studio, dude, I don't know if the camera can pick up, right? But this guy is the Hulk of cycling, man. His veins is just popping out all the way. But anyway, thank you so much for coming.
No worries, my pleasure.
To those who don't know who you are, it's a shame if they don't know who you are. But if you could just give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Wow, this feels like a job interview, huh? Yeah, my name is Boon Kiak. I am 35 this year. I'm a father of a 15-month-old boy and a passionate cyclist. A collaborative factor to do a unique Singapore version frame. And there are only 13 of these frames around in Singapore.
Also, very interesting. You guys have similar bikes, similar custom setup. So I've got to ask you though, when did you turn a bit more competitive and it really became like, okay, I might make this a full-time thing and I'm going to race for Singapore. How did that happen?
Okay, I think you have to rewind that quite a bit. So I think that was in 2014 or something. Sorry, it's even further back. So I bought my first proper bike with my own money. I think 2010. I remember it was after O levels. Waiting for the time to go JC. I had an EduSave bursary, right? It's like $480. I used all that money to buy a very cheap hardtail mountain bike from a HDB store. And then I went on YouTube and then I watched some mountain biking videos. So there's this guy called Sam Hill. So for the mountain bike audience, flat pedals, win medals. I'm sure you know that. So yeah, that's how I started my mountain bike journey. I watched Sam Hill. I'm like, shit, this is so cool. And then I went to Google like, where can I mountain bike in Singapore? And that's where I realized that there's actually mountain bike tracks in Singapore and so forth. And then I brought my bike there. And I think it took a few years before that competitiveness set in. So there's a chapter where I didn't write so much. So that's where I was in JC. So JC, I actually met my first sports coach ever. So I think some background is that I've never done competitive sports until I was in junior college. So for my personal goal when I went to junior college was that I wanted to try something different. I wanted to do sports for the first time. And I think I was very lucky to meet a coach that was willing to take a chance on me. So I joined a cross-country team then. And I think that's when I had my first competitive experience. So I think that's important because that really sparked that competitive streak, right? And I think it was only in I think 2 years later I changed bikes, and then I had my first proper mountain bike. Then I was like, wow, I'm really hooked on this. I want to race, right? And then by that time I was in national survey, so that took a pause. By the time I came out, it was like 2014. So 2014 I raced my first mountain bike national champs. Back then there was still that Tampines bike park. Now I think it's a bunch of HDB flats. Any plot of land here, change the HDB flats real quick. So
we all need the HDBs. We need the HDBs more than the bike park.
I mean that's true. That's true. Yeah. So then I raced the national champs then, and basically I was passed by so many people. I was standing still, right? And that was that how do you call it? That wake up call, really you just realize that the level is so high. Like back then I thought I was something like I can run a good time. I was a cross country team, then I can probably do any other endurance sport, right? But that really like, oh shit, actually this is whole different level. And back then I know that there was this name that kept coming up, right? Junaidi. I had no idea who this is, but this guy like sounds like damn scary. And he passed me, like I was standing still in 2014. I was like, holy crap, that guy is fast. So then I spent the next year really like trying to get better. So really watching a lot of videos. I had great friends who helped me. So I shout out to Irvin. So Irvin is somebody I knew since I started cycling essentially. So he's a national downhill rider basically. So when I shared with him that I want to be a national rider just like you, right? Then he was like, okay, I'll help you essentially. So yeah, I think one thing I want to say also is that along this journey there's so many people that helped me. I didn't make this progress alone. So really thanks to all the supporters out there and all the people that supported me. So back to the story. I'm going to digress so much because this journey has been like 13 years in the making, right? So anyway, then back to topic. Where did I stop? National 2014 nationals. Yeah. So after that, 2015 was the first real attempt at racing. So the time is quite interesting because that was when I was transiting to university. So I just done with army, then waiting to go uni. So had a lot of time. I basically was riding like 3 times a day. So at morning I'll do a ride. After that, then I'll do another ride. Then and so forth. So I went into the 2015 national champs feeling like quietly confident about it. Like I just knew that probably no one wrote as much as me. I think that was the mindset going in. But at the same time, I knew that everyone else was like so much more experienced than me. But as luck would have it, I managed to clinch the national championships lah. And I think I shared at the Rafa Clubhouse last week is that that win had very special significance to me. So in 2015 was when I lost my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother, so we are very, very, very close. I think then of course she had dementia, and I think she was never the same. And I think the cool thing about grandmothers is that they just think that you're the best thing in the world, right? They just think that you're the best at everything. Then I think during the process from 2014 to 2015, I was doing a lot of races, and basically she always asked, "Hey, 你有赢吗？你第一名对吗?" But no lah, I didn't, right? But back in my heart I was like, okay, one day I'll win for grandma, right? And then I should be proud. And unfortunately she didn't get to see it, but I raced in a memory line, and that day. It was really incredible. I really could feel it, and you just know at the back of mind that I think this is it, and this is the one you're gonna win. And I came in third overall. So there were two foreigners that came in before me, and then I came in third, and I got a net champ jersey lah. So I think that really was the start of everything. So that was 2015. Then after that it was really 8 years of just ups and downs, really. So I thought that my life would change after winning national champs. I mean, back then I had no experience, right? I basically thought that you can earn a living riding bikes. When you win something like this, you're gonna get like a truckload of sponsorships, right? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in Singapore. It doesn't. The market is too small for that. Now I know. So, but I think it definitely opened doors for me. So basically, I was kind of invited by SCF to start racing, right? And then of course, there's a coach to help me and so forth. And I mean, but at that time, I think the system was not so developed. I think it took a while for results to appear lah. And I think during that time also, the 8 years there were a lot of injuries on my side. I think it's almost like I used up all my luck for that one race. That's what I always thought. Then the 8 years was a struggle. Then it took quite long before I saw like good results again, which was literally this year. So the story behind me and RS works. I think it started through my club, my friend and fellow clubmate Zim. So I joined this club called Cafe Riders. So and I think Zim is a regular rider and friend lah. So basically what happened was that I was riding in a race in Malaysia. I crashed out. I broke my collarbone into 4 pieces. And basically I kind of, I mean, when you get a crash like that, you even though the bike looks alright, you don't really dare to ride it again. So that was the factor 02, my first factor, right? Then I just didn't think that I could afford to buy that factor lah, to be honest. Like at cost, at retail price, right? So but I really wanted to ride a factor, and then I think Zim knew that. Then he was like, hey, I'll hook you up lah, Then that's how I got to know Roger, Stanley, and the whole crew here at RS. And I think they kind of knew from Zim who I was and what I wanted to do. And they basically said, hey, we saw you up with a new bike, Then now you're still recovering. When you're ready to come back and start racing, I think that's the only thing we ask of you. So yeah, and I think that faith in me coming back, I think it meant a lot. And I think then this year, basically in May, Boon was like, hey, I need a teammate, you want to race with me? Then I'm like, oh freak, yeah, of course, man. This is a SEA Games champion you're talking about, right? And he asked you to join his team. Then I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. So going to the Road National Championships, I think it was very strange actually, because I didn't have the best preparation. So I did train really hard like over the course of the year. But because of my job, I actually had to travel. So like I think like 3 weeks before Net Champs, I spent a week in Rwanda. literally. So I had no buy. I was waking up 5 a.m. just to squeeze in a 1 hour run. And then I came back. Then I planned this. I planned a 1 week training camp for myself, and I know I had friends from KBR to join me. And then I nearly missed my flight actually coming back to Singapore. I think that's a story for another day. Then after that, the weekend was the national champs race. So the preparation was just very weird. And basically my mindset then was like, I'm just here to help Boon. I'm going to empty my legs out for him, right? And I think the way the race unfolded was, I think that's just the way races work, right? You never know what's going to happen. And I think the night before, I think we strategized, and basically we knew who we needed to mark and follow. So I think I had it in the back of my head. So I think on the first lap, basically when I saw someone like slowly drifting away, I was like, okay, I think this is the move, and I followed. And basically, that was the winning ticket lah. You know, that was the decision that won the national championships. And I think that it was a closing laps. I think Boon made that ultimate sacrifice, right? And when he actually bridged over, but he brought along a competitor, and he was like, no, I'm not going to chase down my own teammate. It's like he basically asked me to go, and I was my mind was still on the old plan. The old plan was to lead him out for the finish, right? So I was like, hey, 3 km more. You want me to go now? Like, how? They're like, they're like, okay, he's captain, man. I'm just gonna full gas lah. I honestly thought he was still behind me. On the finish, I actually kept left because that's the non-racing line, the non-good line. So I was fully expecting him to swing out to the right. But like as the finish line inched closer, I was like, where the heck is Boon? You know, then I looked back and like, shit, it's not there. Like, oh my god, I actually got it. And then that was the turning point for me, right? One is that I had, as a experienced rider, veteran rider, had a confidence in me to say that, hey, I want you as my teammate. And after that, eventually winning it, and then was like, I think that was the turning point in my career. I think. 8 years, no results, and then suddenly you become national champion, and I think that I still haven't fully, until I haven't fully digested that, and I think because national champ season is fast and furious, right? Right after that is basically team time trial, and I think with that result, basically RS was like, come on, you guys are racing TTT, right? They're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna race TTT. Then they hooked us with Hanzo's basically. Yeah, they basically custom this whole color scheme. It was custom painted by the factory, and this is freaking a lot of pressure, because it's national colors, and like I haven't earned it yet. So if you know Boon actually was the national TT champion, I think back in 2021 or something like that, and so he has full right to race the colors, but I don't. So I was like, this is a lot of pressure. So like, okay, we gotta win this. We gotta win one of it, like TTT or ITT, right? So like, thankfully, we did win TTT. I think Boon was like, he's a reservoir experience, so he really guided us to the win. And for ITT wise, it was quite funny then. We were. It was again imperfect preparation. There seems to be a common theme with me. My preparation is always like subpar. So. What happened was that I was on family vacation. I went to Croatia with my parents. I had 2 weeks off the bike, and then after that, basically I come back. That is ITT lah. Essentially, I had like 2 weeks to prepare. And then another spanner in the works was Boon suddenly said, "Hey guys, I got COVID. I cannot race." They're like, "Shit, that means it's up to me." Yeah, they're like, "Oh my goodness." So I was kind of. But I think the strange thing was that I didn't feel stressed. So I think if you rewind 8 years ago when I was a younger, inexperienced rider, I would have felt super stressed. But at that moment I was like, okay, let's go lah, And I think when I knew that I'm the only one representing this whole team that has been supporting us the whole year, right? I just felt that responsibility to put in my best effort. So then the next 2 weeks was quite crazy. So we were like, I went down to the bike fitters like twice just to get my fit dialed and all that. And then first Roger was like getting me all the gear to make sure like maximize all the aero, right? And in the end it was enough lah. So I still feel that it's a pity that we didn't win it properly. So I didn't end up on the podium, but I was 4th overall. But it was enough to win the net champs lah. So a fairy tale season, and I think. I got all these people to thank. So I think that's the in gist the story of the competition and how it got started. And why I'm here today. Yeah.
Sorry,
man, it's been a monologue.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start now. Thank you for the introduction. That's a very inspiring story. I think we've got like so many segments to cover because we actually want to shoot 3 bikes, but I think it's a bit hard to display. But we got the Hanzo here, we've got the O2 and the Ostro later. I'll probably insert all the B-rolls later on. Okay, so that's the story of you racing and stuff. And you said you bought the O2.
Yeah, so the first O2 was a non-VAM, it was a white and black one. It's super beautiful. So sidebar here is that the name I'm called Willy because when I was in 1993 when I was born.
We're the same age, man.
Sorry?
We're the same age.
Oh, dude. Hey, chingu.
Exposed.
So yeah, in 93 there's a particular movie where there's a character called Willy. Do you know?
Willy Wonka?
No,
The
dude.
Oompa
Come on.
Loompa?
No. So have you heard of the movie Free Willy?
Free Willy. What
Yeah,
movie is
it's
that?
a movie about this whale kept in captivity, and then there was this mission to kind of return it to the wild, essentially. It's a story about that. And then of course the main character is killer whale lah. So apparently when I was born, the first year I was born, whenever that trailer came up on TV, I'll just giggle. So my parents called me Willy at home. So yeah, so the reason why this is relevant is because I like killer whales a lot. And my first Factor 02 is white and black in the colours of a killer whale. So I really, really love that bike. But I freaking destroyed it lah.
Yeah. Okay. So because when people watch my videos and some of them are like sponsored by shops, right? They speak very highly about the bike. Obviously, maybe their hands are tied.
Yeah.
But you, on the other hand, you used your own money to buy the O2 and you really like that. And then, you were saying that Zim hooked you up with Factor, with Roger, Stanley and everyone, right? Yeah. So, okay, so this channel predominantly, I don't really get that many races, not so privileged to have so many races like you and Boon. And we normally talk about the bike, how it performs. So maybe let's speak about the bikes that you've owned before. Have you owned any other bikes besides the Factor?
Actually I do. I mean, if we let's just keep it the road bikes, right? So my first road bike was a Stevens. So actually that was a brand that Matthew Van Der Poel rode when I was in CX, right? So my first bike was Stevens. Then after that, I had a Ale Sprint for a while because the reason I bought the Ale Sprint was that's when disc brakes just came out, and I always wanted disc brakes because I was a mountain biker essentially. Then I rode it for 1 year. I mean, like what do you call it? Alloy is just not my thing. I mean, it's fun to ride, but for long rides, not really. Then I was looking out for carbon bike to ride. And I think the story of Factor is that when I was much younger, Factor released this. So Factor, the background of Factor is that they're actually carbon composites kind of expert. So they first started in Formula One actually. So they kind of manufacture carbon parts for F1 teams. So for some reason they decided to dabble in bikes. So there were a few versions. So when the one that caught my eye back then I was young was an Aston Martin 177. It's a collaboration bike. And I was like, holy crap, these guys are really cool. And I read the article and it's like, yeah, these guys engineering geniuses basically. And I was like, okay, for me, I really like brands that are small, boutique, and they really pay attention to detail. And I think the engineering detail is just incredible. So I was like, so Factor has always been in the back of my mind. So when the opportunity came to buy a Factor, so my friend Irvin that I mentioned earlier, so he had lobang basically to get a Factor for me. And I said, oh yeah, I want a Factor. Then so basically, I got it at a good price. So that's how I started with Factor, essentially.
Okay. And then you've moved, you have the Ostro, the Hanzo.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Shall we start with the Hanzo first since it's here?
Yeah. So the Hanzo was basically specially ordered and painted just for the TTT. So I think as I shared earlier, it's really that, when we want to go for the TTT and basically, I think the Roger and Stanley wanted to just put pressure on us essentially. They gave us this color and say, yeah, basically you have to win it. Otherwise, it's our face. It's our face that's going down. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's basically that's the story. They basically gave us full support to race this bike. They wanted to get us as the best to go for the competition. So, and they really hooked us up with this bike.
And do you get to? Sorry, you want to say something?
Oh, I mean, if you want me to talk through the specs of the bike, I could. So
let's go.
I've got a 56 teeth chainring here. So I mean, for TT, I mean TMCI, as you guys know, is like pancake flat. So you can put on a big chainring, no problem. I think the reason why I went 56 is that I mean for races in general, I think we decide on chainring size based on which gear we most likely in. So basically, there's actually an app for counting like what speed you'll be going at what cadence at what gear. So basically from there, I know that I want to stay in the middle of cassette block for no straight chain line. And then based on my target speed, the 56 made the most sense. So I think that's how I got the 56. And basically full DRI is because, RS, you basically ride the best lah. And then everything else is stock. So stock base bars, stock aero bars. I was fitted by Tim at Lu Bicycles. And yeah, I think basically, yeah, actually my favorite part of the bike actually is the disc. It's incredible. I mean, when you look from far, if I'm not sure the camera can capture it, but
you'll get some close shots.
Yeah, the detail is amazing. So if you spin actually the other way, it looks like paint drying. It's an effect, and then it's that full gloss that is just so like intimidating, and the sound that it makes when it rolls is like
the whooshing sound.
Basically, yeah, people know you're there. It's quite crazy. So yeah, it's super fast. I didn't ride a proper TT bike before this year essentially, and this is my first proper TT bike, and it was like, oh, it was so fast. Basically, you can average 35 no problem. So I did a 5-hour training ride just to get used to the position. The average was like 36. I wasn't even pushing, man.
Really?
Yeah. So it's quite mad.
So it's a cheating kind of bike. If you're going out with friends on road bikes and you bring this out.
Basically, yeah. So I did bring it out for some of my group rides that week, right? Because I was just trying to get as much time on the bike as possible. I basically came like a couple of days before TTT, So I just had to write as much as I can on it, and then for ITT, basically from ITT to ITT, I think that's like four something weeks. Basically, every chance I got, I rode a TT bike.
Okay, and okay, I've got a lot of questions I would like to ask you, but maybe let's cover all the bikes first.
Yeah.
So this is the TT bike, and just a question, right? So I'm not a TT person. I've never ridden a TT bike.
Yeah. I'm
assuming this is like the steer tube of road bikes. This part.
I think the interesting thing is the steer tube. Sorry, I'm moving.
No problem.
Here's the steer tube.
Okay. Yeah. So this is to adjust the height of the drop bars?
So I think that's what they call the mono riser. Yeah, they call it a mono riser. So actually my actual position is much lower. So I think they reset it after that. Yeah, but it's lower lah. So then so the steer tube is there. So I think the thing with the Hanzo is very cool is if you look at the front, right, it's super narrow. And I think this was one of the first TT bikes where they maximize the new UCI rules. Like there were some rule changes and basically they maximize all of it. And that also explains why the front is so narrow. You can't do that on road bike. So for this, right, it's about only like 15 degrees of tilt each side. So you only can turn the bars 15 degrees. That's about it. So you want to take a U-turn, you got to get super wide and carry speed into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So something cool.
Yeah. And how heavy is this bike? If you know. Great
question. I think it's like 11-ish, I think.
And is that normal for TT bikes?
I think so. I think it's just sub 11. I think so actually. Yeah, because aero comes at a cost lah. Definitely.
Yeah. Tire choice.
Oh yeah. So I basically, if people who know me from racing, is that I'm very conservative. I hate punctures because to me it's like you're just giving away a chance to.
Yeah, when you're racing, it's a different story.
So I know people who have went all in and go for like I think the TT versions of the Corsa, I think Corsa Speed, right? That's what I call. For me, I think I specifically asked for Corsa Pros. So I think, and they ran tubeless for me. So that if I were to roll over something on TMC, as you know, there's a lot of debris. I can still continue the race and complete, So I think that's why I chose. And basically this has been tested, by the pros. It's one of the fastest cotton tires right now. So I don't think I gave up much advantage there.
Okay. Yeah. So Vittoria is the tire choice for all your bikes.
Actually no. So I'm very picky when it comes to tires because traction and all that. So I think for road bikes definitely I think that Vittoria tires are best in class. But for mountain bikes I started riding Pirellis. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next bike then?
Yeah.
So this is a Hanzo. We have the Ostro. Let's go down from being the most aero to the least aero.
Yeah.
So the next one is the Ostro. I've had a couple of Ostros on my show before.
Yeah.
Maybe as you speak about your Ostro setup and everything, I'll have the B-rolls because we can't put it on here. Tell us how's the setup like on the Ostro?
The Ostro, I'm riding a size 52. I've got 45s on them, like the wheel depth. I've got the integrated integrated bars and so forth. What else? Yeah, it's full Shimano drivetrain as well. I recently changed to a 55 teeth actually. So I was originally on a 52 because Ultegra came stock with only 52. And then after TT, I realized that actually I could run a bigger chainring, and I think there's a training benefit also from pushing a bigger chainring. So I swapped out for a 55. And I think the cool thing is that it also comes in national colors. So my original one was the Ostro Chrome. So that's the one that I won the race on. And basically after the race, Roger said, "Hey, you want a Singapore edition bike? How can I say no to that?"
Yeah.
Right. Then basically I got it swapped out for the red and white bike. Yeah. Which is the same one that Boon has.
Right. And the weight on that one.
The weight on that one, I weighed it before. I think it's 7.6 and it's on Ultegras. So it's like it's
The
quite
12
steep.
speed?
12 speed.
Why didn't you go for Dura Ace? I'm sure Roger will give it to you.
No, it doesn't work that way. I think I own that bike, so I mean it was within my budget lah, basically. So what I did was I bought the Ostro Chrome at that time. So it came out Ultegra, so basically it just got swapped over. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you said you own that bike, right? So I thought that all these bikes are sponsored to you. Apparently.
Yeah, so I guess what people don't understand is in Singapore and how sponsorship work, right? I mean, sponsorship is a marketing expense. So naturally in Singapore, with the market being so small, it doesn't make sense for businesses to actually throw in so much money, right? And honestly, it doesn't make sense for athletes to expect them to, if you know how it works. I'm already very privileged that they pretty much gave me a super steep discount on bikes. I think that they make a loss on some of the bikes that sell me. And basically they quote me a price. I just buy the bike,
And it's yours.
And it's mine, yeah.
And obviously, I'm assuming that the expectation is you win races, or how's the deal like? If you can disclose
the expectation when we win races, I think is they don't have to tell it to me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even I want to win it, even myself. So I mean, that's a done deal. I think and of course when you think about it, sponsors want exposure, so I think they want you to race as much as you can. And I guess that was not an issue either. And basically that's all of it. Go race my bike and go win races with it. I think that's all there is to it.
Okay. Yeah. And then the last one is the O2.
Oh yeah, the O2. So I have a source for the O2. Of course it was the first model I had. And so the current model I'm riding is the O2 VAM, the Attacker edition. So it's like yes, this very nice rainbow colored decals on it, and on the top tube, yes, is this words "Give 'em hell."
Oh.
I love it. Yeah, I really love it. So I love that bike. It's an Ultegra 11 speed. I've got cheap wheels on that actually. So I own that bike as well. I transferred the wheels from my original O2 over. So it's a light bicycle rims on that one. And Ultegra group set. So 53 and the back I think it's 28. Yeah, 53 39. Yeah.
Okay.
Then 28. Then also Vittoria's. I'm a Vittoria fan. I think that's the major components covered. Oh, I think saddles actually for my personal bikes, Ostro O2, even my mountain bike, I use the same saddle, Saddle Italia SLR. I've been using that since I started riding, basically. Yeah.
And tire pressures across all the bikes.
So I mentioned I was super picky about tires. So I'm very, very particular about pressure. So I actually own a pressure gauge, a Topic pressure gauge. I pump before every ride and I check before every ride. So and they're all different because based on the rim width and of course the tire choice, right? And I set the pressure, and of course the bike weight, the system weight, that's what I call it. So for the O2, I think it is 73, 70. The reason why it's so low is because, and I'm running tubes for all of them, sorry, I didn't mention that. So the reason why I run it so low is because for the O2, the rims are hookless. So you can't run too high pressures. So 73, 70. Then for the Ostro, it is 83, 80. So a lot of people say I run pretty high pressures for my weight. So I'm about 57 kgs. So yeah, but for me, as I said, I hate punctures. So I'm happy to ride high pressures, and I've got some mountain bike experience. I think it helps that.
Right.
I actually like that slight give when cornering really hard. So
Okay. I just want to take a pause. Is the camera still running? I am so scared that my camera stop running. Okay. So that's on all of your bikes. If anyone has any questions on his bikes, please comment it in the description, and maybe Willy will answer them. I've got some questions for you. So that's on your bikes. Let's talk about training.
yeah.
How do you plan out your training schedule?
Yeah.
How does it work for you? You've got mountain biking, you've got road bikes, and this is not your full-time job. How does all this happen?
So I guess I've gone through a number of coaches over the years. I think so back when I just started, I was coaching under I was coached by Adrian from SCF. Then of course through the injuries and all that, I didn't feel like going through a structured program. Then I self-coached for a bit. Then I was connected to a guy called Mike near the Prum. So he was a US cycling coach. So basically he remote coached me for about a year, and then until I broke my face. So I had an accident where I broke my face. Story for another day. Then
Breaking so many things.
yeah. Then I paused. At some point, I think I worked with Calvin Koo as well. I think now he races for TWC. Then and I think ever since I won net champs again, then I'm back with Adrian again. So I think at different phases of your career, so to speak, right? I think you need different coaches, because some guide you at the participation level, some guide you at the high performance level, and it's also based on styles, right? So I think as a rider, I matured over the years for sure. I think then I changed the styles I needed from a coach. So that's why we hopped coaches. And of course, the coaches have their own life plans now, and that's why I changed coaches. So I think that's the coaching component. So the programs normally come from the coach. So I use a software called Training Peaks. So basically they upload your workouts for the week. So what I always say, I tell people who don't have a coach and getting into racing is that, there are hard days and easy days. So many people make the mistake of going super hard every single day, and I'm like, what's the point? You're just going to burn out. You're going to injure yourself, and I think you really got to put ego to the side. You need to know when it's a day to ride hard, and when it's a day to recover. So I think that's one of the number one things that people need to know. And I think the other thing is just consistency. So I from earlier I know that you're in. Right? That's why I exposed Oompa Loompa again. So he's in. So I'm sure you know the effects of compounding. So essentially, that's the way fitness works, right? You compound fitness. So you want to make sure that you're healthy, and you're making sure you're exposing yourself to just enough stress such that you're accumulating fitness. You don't want to cash out your fitness from getting sick or getting injured. So I think that also links back to the point of don't train too hard, essentially. So consistency, show up for yourself every day. Go and do your rides. If some people say, if I'm not feeling well, do I ride? So I think it depends. So if you are really sick, then you better recover lah. If it's just like lack of motivation or something, then I'll say that just go do a short ride. Putting $1 in a bank is better than putting zero at all. So to me, there's no junk miles. I'm sure there are some people who are going to debate with me on that, but for me, there's no such junk miles. Just go clock the miles, man.
Just like how I'm just pushing out YouTube videos, even though it's a shitty one. It's consistency.
And that's practice, right? Yeah. So practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So you practice those skills that you want to develop. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Yeah. And so you use this app called Training Peaks. I've heard of it. Yeah. It's pretty useful. It's like a plan. You got to subscribe and you get a coach and they upload all what you need. Yeah.
So there are many ways to use Training Peaks actually. So if you're just starting, you just get a simple plan. It's an annual subscription. Back then it was like $99. I don't know how much it is now. It's like it's been deducting from my bank account every year, and I have not been tracking it for so many years. Okay. If to use it the most simply is that you kind of upload your rides. So it syncs with Garmin Connect, Strava, Wahoo, and all that. So you get a record of your rides. So the longer you use the app and ride, the more insights it can give you, right? Essentially. So it tells you if you're building fit. So there are three things that there are three major metrics that it gives you, right? Insights. So one is form, one is fitness, and one is fatigue. So basically, that's how you manipulate your training. So when you peak, of course, you want your form to be higher, fatigue to be lower, and then of course fitness should always be a gradually increasing number, basically. Yeah, so I think that's the simplest way to use it. If you're like kind of self-coach, you can monitor your training progress. Then I think you can actually hire remote coaches through Training Peak. So you kind of subscribe to a training plan. Or you can use a personal coach. So essentially for a personal coach, there's a coach's account, and then it links your account, and then basically they pump in all your workouts. And when I wake up every day, I turn on my Garmin, it syncs, house Wi-Fi, and it loads up the latest workout that, Adrian gives me, and I just head out and do it.
Yeah. Do you have
Makes
an
it very
indoor?
convenient.
Right. Do you have an indoor trainer?
Oh, definitely. So I've got a Wahoo Kicker. Yeah.
Okay.
Kicker Pro, I think. Yeah.
So those are for like what, rainy days or?
No man, to me, I think my friends know that it's like, for me it's rain or shine. So rain is not an excuse not to go out for myself, because a race is going to go on in rain. So you got to be used to doing there are two, basically there's just two reasons why I'll use the trainer over going on the road. One is if the workout is just impossible to do on the road. So like if I've got to do a 6-minute set, there's no road in Singapore long enough for me to do that. So I'll do it on the trainer. The other one is, as you know, I've got a full-time job. If there's no way to do that in my schedule, I just jump in indoor trainer. So basically, if it's a 2-hour workout, you take 2 hours elapsed time on the trainer. On the road, it's probably 2.5, 3 hours. So I think trainer saves time, essentially. Yeah.
Are there days where you are like, you know what? Obviously you have your training schedules, right?
Yeah.
And maybe today you have a training, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm just feeling lazy. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm so tired from my work. I'm just gonna stay at home.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it just keeps going on, and you just start skipping things. Does that ever happen to you? Like days where you just
for sure. And because I know that effect, right? The moment you give in to your weakness for one day, it's gonna repeat. So that's a huge deterrence for me to give in. I think that's the first thing, right? And to me, there are three things when it comes to long-term success in sport, right? Motivation, commitment, and discipline. So motivation is finding your why. Like why am I doing this, right? Commitment is figuring out how. So commit to the plan, right? You find a plan, you commit to it. And discipline is what makes you stick to the plan every day. Yeah.
And so what's your purpose?
What's my purpose? I mean, at this stage of my career, I mean, I'm 30 already this year, right? And I don't think I have that many competitive years left. I try to see myself as a role model. I don't know if I'm a good one, but I try to be one. I don't think there are many people who are doing a full-time job and like trying to get like good results in competitive sport. So, but I want to show that it's possible. I mean, it has to be possible because it's the only way in Singapore. And I think that, that the only way for Singapore cycling to move forward is for the youth to believe that is possible. And I think I've made it my personal mission to show it that it's possible. And I'm lucky that I also have role models to look up to. Yeah.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? Great question. So I think in sporting goals, I think definitely SEA Games is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I think for the past few selection cycles, I think for injury or whatever reason, never made the cut. So I think now might be one of those opportunities.
Yep.
Maybe the timing is a bit bad though, because the next SEA Games is 2025. So normally the selection cycle is the year before, right? So 2024. But I won the net champs in 2023. So basically I need to repeat what I did again next year. So yeah, but I mean we are starting off this qualification journey on a good level. So yeah, then we'll see how it goes lah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you go to the gym? Do you do like workouts and stuff?
So I used to do that. So when I was still schooling, so I was in university, I did do gym when I headed to SSI, the Singapore Sports Institute, where then of course I was a national cyclist, so I got access to that. So we did have like centralized weekly strength and conditioning sessions. They're really good for preventing injury. So if your training schedule allows, you should do strength and conditioning. And there's a time in the year you do it. So basically you do it basically in your transition phase, like between seasons, you do it. You're off season, you do it. Then during season, you do some maintenance workouts. So that's what I could do last time. And basically, that back then we were training like 18 hours to 24 hours a week. And then basically you had a good base, and then it makes sense to do strength conditioning. But right now, I'm like 18 hours is already a heavy week for me generally, right? So that doesn't make sense to do strength conditioning anymore because getting mileage and getting bike time is of higher priority than strength conditioning. So sorry for the long answer, but basically no, I don't do strength conditioning now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk about something more lighter. Let's talk about gears, like your outfit, shoe choice. Tell us more about that. Again, this interview was made possible because I knew Yuva. He was like, please get Willy on. Yeah. So obviously
Thanks, Yuva.
RedWhite.
Yeah.
How did you get to know RedWhite?
I'm still wearing RedWhite bibs, yeah.
Yeah.
So RedWhite, I got to know them through a friend back in 2014. So 2014 there's this bike shop that called BYX. So it was owned by Italian owner then called Gio. So thanks Gio. I mean you have been a critical part of my growth as well. So basically one of his mechanics basically wrote RedWhite, was supported by RedWhite, and then he was like, hey, you want to try RedWhite? Like, okay. Then
He's not heard about the brand before.
Haven't at that time. Haven't. And then they had at that time they had this really cool version of the bibs. It's called a KOM. So they on the I think it was the left side, the left gripper had polka dots, and it was so cool. And I always see myself a climber, so I think that was the first pair of RedWhite bibs I got. And I think at that time Yuva ran a racer support program, and he knew I was a racer, so he basically, so I think it was like 30% discount or something. So I just kept buying RedWhite bibs lah. Then at some point I think probably he can see my orders like, who's this guy? I buy bibs, right? then he was like, I think at some point he kind of said, hey, do you want to help me with with giving me feedback on my bibs lah, essentially. So then he started selling me all these bibs. So I've been very fortunate for this. So this is one of the newer version of his bib. I had the pleasure of actually riding the prototype version, and I actually built a few races. So I think he's one of the brands I can say that I had to play a part in developing it. And I'm really grateful for Yuva for his trust and his support. Yeah.
So what's the selling point for RedWhite?
Selling point of RedWhite, I think it's a very good price point. So when you think about it, right, when you're racing, it's a bit taboo to mention it, but you can't avoid crashing.
Yeah.
Right. It'll come. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? So the thing is, it's such a good price point that you can replace easily, if you do enjoy yourself. And otherwise, bibs have a lifespan as well because the chamois is foam, right? Essentially, it compresses and it's probably not very hygienic. You're sweating 6 hours a day in it, and
oh my god, my bibs are with me for a very long time.
Eventually you gotta change them. So it makes them very easy to cost efficient to replace. So like if you're doing mileage like 18-20 hours a week, generally your bibs last you a year, half a year, then it's easy to replace lah. So for me it just made sense economically. And I think in terms of comfort, I mean, it goes without saying. I think it's really very comfortable. I think that's very personal for sure. But for me, it worked. Yeah. It worked. So I really love the feel of the chamois. And I think that's why I've stuck with them for so many years, man.
And shoes.
Shoes
and helmet.
Okay, so people who know me know that I'm a huge CD fan. I've been running CD like the moment I could afford it, essentially. But recently I swapped over Shimano's. So I've got a pair of Shimano 903s. It was feedback from the bike fitter, like essentially. It's like I think the Shimano will suit you better than at this point you're just focusing on maximum performance, right? So like Shimano.
Yeah. I forgot to ask, what pedals are you running on all your bikes and what power meters do you have?
Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. So slightly different for different bikes. So I've got the Axiomas for the Ostro. I transfer them over to the TT when I use it. And on an O2, it's the Shimano power meter, the integrated one with the factory made one. Yeah.
Okay. Why such funny combinations? Why don't you make it all consistently the same?
I sometimes it's just like what's available then.
Okay.
So the Shimano power meter came first. So it came with the bike. Not say came the bike, but I bought together with the bike, like the group set and all that. And I think at that time Asioma wasn't popular yet. And then when I built out Ostro, I was like, I need a power meter. Then basically Asioma was popular then already. And it's so easy, right? You it's plug and play, it's pedal based, it's two-sided. And honestly, for two-sided power meter, it's quite affordable, like about 1,000. So
yeah. Advice to the younger guys who are watching out there who aspire to be a national champ.
Right.
If you were to turn back time,
Yeah.
would you have done anything different? And again, what's your advice to them?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So when I look back, I think I probably wouldn't change what I did. When we think about it, basically everything that happened to you was a lesson, right? And if I had not had that experiences, I'll be a completely different person. I would not know what a person is like. But I think things that I've learned over the years that I think would benefit the youth then is what I mentioned earlier, like, motivation, commitment, discipline. I think find your why, figure out how to do it, and then make sure you stick to the plan. Yeah. And I think when sticking to the plan sometimes is hard for people. I think that's where you need to build your village, right? You need to have training partners, you need to have support crew. And you can't expect people to build that for you. You gotta build that yourself. You gotta go out there and meet people. You gotta be friendly. You gotta be nice. You got to give back, right? And that's how you build a community around you. And then after that, I think I said this before to some of my friends, is be kind to yourself. And it's something that I learned personally as well, especially during the time I had so many struggles, right? Is that when for some reason, right, we criticize the past version of ourselves. You always say that, I should have done this in the past. I mean, why was I so stupid, But will you say that to your younger sibling? Chances are you won't, right? So why are you treating yourself differently from others, right? So how about look at the younger version of yourself, past version of yourself as a younger sibling? What will you say to him? And basically give yourself that same good constructive advice. So and be kind to yourself. So I mean, the world is already so stressful. Training is stressful. Why go and put additional stress on yourself? And I think the other thing is have fun. I think have fun also translates to savoring the moment. So I think during that 8-year period, I think that it's not 8 years just downhill, essentially, right? There are just small peaks. But I felt that I never fully managed to enjoy the 8 years because I didn't allow myself to do that. So there's this word called clarophobia, right? Which is the fear of good things happening, right? So basically during the 8 years, like for some reason, ever since once that things start to go well, then something goes badly. Then there's a pattern. Then I was like, shit. I started getting scared. When things are going well, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. And I realized that when I had that mindset, I couldn't savor the moment. I can't enjoy the victories, and I can't enjoy the good things. And we realized, right, is life is so short, So there's this website called Wait But Why. Maybe I'll send you a link after that. I think this is an article that changed my life, really. So the writer basically visualized your entire life in things that I understand. So he visualized every day in your life as dots. Then he represented it by how many dumplings you eat in your life and so forth. And I think the main message from the article is that whatever experience you have in your life is finite. You can count it if you want, right? It's not like I don't know what's infinite actually, not suddenly, but basically it's finite, right? There's a way to count it, and if you're going to deny yourself of happiness, of moments of joy, that's one less. Right, and why would you do that to yourself? Essentially, so when I realized that, then that's when I realized, you be kind to yourself, savor every moment. Don't live in the moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen next, because you worry now, you're unhappy now, and then when it happens, you're going to be still unhappy, right? So why not just take it as it comes? When it comes, then fully enjoy it, fully embrace it, and who knows what's going to happen next? Yeah,
but we need a plan.
So you need to plan for success, right? You need to plan for success. Yeah, so you need to set yourself up for success. And I don't see that as mutually exclusive with enjoying a moment, right? You need to set yourself up for success. You need to set yourself up for opportunities to feel joy, essentially.
That's what my wife tells me. I'm a
Yeah.
very negative person.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't call myself a negative person. I say I'm a
Pragmatic.
realist. I'm a realist.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So for example, there was one time we were on holiday and I told her there's this flight tracking app. I'm like,
Yeah.
the plane is not here. We're probably going to miss our connecting flight for sure. And I was right. But she said, no, you have to be positive. The plane will come. Like, no, realistically, it's impossible for the plane to come now. So I think I'm in that way that kind of person.
Right.
So it's very hard to change my mindset.
I see. So I guess it's possible to be real. I think it's just like shifting your perspective on things, right? So it's back to knowing what you can control and what you can't.
Yeah.
You can't control the flight. So why worry about it, really?
Yeah.
So this is when I'm going to roll out that story earlier where I said that I nearly missed my flight, right? I didn't mention that.
We're
So
not talking about bikes anymore.
it's super funny. Okay, now it's like philosophy time and experience. So it's so funny. So we were traveling from Bali in Uber to the airport. Essentially, we knew we were gonna get jammed. We factored in I think 3 or 4 hours, and somehow we are still running late. So we saw the hours tick by, and you know that back then the mission then was to help Boon, right? I was like, shit, if I don't get back in time, I'm not gonna be able to help Boon. So then I just focus on things I could control. So instead of worrying about whether I can capture my flight or not, I just started looking at SQ, like what is the next flight? And I know that, okay, there's a 9 p.m. flight next. So say, if you don't get this flight, fine, I'll throw in the money and I'll buy that flight. Because to me, getting to that race was more important. So when you have like a logical way of thinking through things, you know what you can throw and what you can't, you just focus on solving the problem. Then you don't worry essentially. And anyway, if for things that you can't control, you worry also no use, right? So, yeah, no point lah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. We are at 1 hour mark. Most of my people, my audience do not listen so far. So we'll go on to some questions.
Yeah.
There might be roasts, there might not be roasts.
Yeah.
There's one I would like to...
My goodness.
Okay, that's on my Discord channel.
Yeah.
And I asked, hi guys, I need questions for Willy, aka Crank and Pedal. And this guy, by the name of whatever his username is, time trials here should be raised on road bikes to make it more accessible to more people. Ask him what's his thought on that.
Actually, I wouldn't mind, if you look back at my Instagram, I actually raised a TT, I think back in 2020 on my Factor 02, the white and black one. How do I put it this way? I think right now, time trials is an arms race, right? So it kind of makes sense to have a level playing field, but again, you need to be realistic. You need to know what moves the sport. Essentially, you can't do things without money, and where does the money come from? Consumers, right? And what are consumers excited about new bikes? So I think that's the way the system is designed. So if you look at it just as a sport, of course it's going to be more fair if everyone rides the same gear. So I mean, that's how the Japanese K-Rins work, right? Everyone rides the same bike or the same limited manufacturers. But yeah, I mean, if you want something, you know something's got to give. So you're not going to have the innovation in the bikes. You're not going to have cool bikes to ride. So the companies will have time to do R&D to invest in wind tunnel testing and get you cool. A lot of this technology is trickled down into your road bikes essentially. So yeah, I mean you must know what you're asking for essentially. Yeah.
Speaking of money being running the channel, guys, please subscribe to my channel so I can continue running this show. Okay, next question. Are you married?
No, I've got a steady girlfriend.
Okay, maybe this guy got it wrong. He says he thought that you have a wife who also rides. Ask him about that. Okay, so you're not married, but you have a steady girlfriend?
This guy gonna get me in trouble. Not my girlfriend is gonna ask me, hey, who's this girl? Wow,
does she ride? Your girlfriend?
So I got a mountain bike back maybe 2 or 3 years back when we early in our relationship. I think she's just a leisure cyclist. She enjoys being outdoors sometimes.
Okay. Yeah. The amount of bikes that you have, you can open a shop already.
Not enough lah. I mean, if maybe later Oompa will pan the camera. That's the amount of bikes you need. I don't have enough to run a shop.
It's all behind here. They've kindly moved all the bikes that was originally here to that side. Okay. This guy says, for my first road bike, do you think Factor is a good go-to road bike or should I go for a cheaper option?
Great question. To me personally, I think cycling is addictive. Chances are you're going to be sucked into it. So I mean, not upgrade. I mean, if you have a really good first bike, you probably don't need to upgrade so soon. So So I think personally, yeah, it's a great choice. And I think some people will start commenting. Of course, he has to say that, but hey, I bought my factor with my own money, so
Yeah.
So I think it's actually a really good choice. So there is the non-VAM version of O2. So maybe that's a good start. I think it's quite a bit cheaper. I'm sorry, I'm not sure about retail price for that one. But the new O2 apparently is like 9K for the frame. So might be a bit steep for a first bike. But I think the non-VAM O2 I think makes sense. And then if you like cycling, you like the ride, then you just trash your bike first, then after that you upgrade. Yeah.
I've got a controversial question, maybe more of a personal question. I get a lot of comments on this. It's you guys buy so expensive bikes here, but you're not racing them.
Oh, okay.
Do you need to
I've
be a racer?
got a hot take on this because a lot of people say this. So let me ask you, what is the demographic that drives Ferraris? Are they racers? Yeah. No, right? I mean, I think everyone has a right to enjoy what they want.
Yeah.
Right? So there are many reasons why someone enjoys a bike. They like the aesthetic, they like the performance, so I mean if it makes him happy, then why are you sticking your nose into it, right? Just let him ride what he wants, man.
And how important is equipment and bikes for racing? Does it play a very pivotal moment for you in deciding whether you're going to be a winner or not?
I think definitely depends. So I earlier said that it's an arms race, so I think it definitely plays a role in it. But I think you need to be at the level where equipment plays a part. Yeah, I think still the majority of whether you win or not is fitness. I mean fitness and timing, because you need to time where you peak, right, to win a race, and then also racecraft. So you need to. I mean, I like to say that racing bikes is playing chess at 60 km an hour, and then ends with a boxing match, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about that, actually, it's more than just a bike. There's so many things that you need to get right before the bike plays a part. Of course, the bike plays a part, but there are other things that you got to get right. Yeah.
Okay, good answer. Factor O2 VAM or Ostro, and he says, regarding this question, O2 or Ostro in terms of comfort over long distances, for example, more than 100 Ks.
Okay. Good question also. So before I rode Ostro, I didn't believe in aero. So I was like, I mean, I'm just a small guy. You probably won't find me in a breakaway. And yeah, if that's the case, then I should maximize my strengths, right? Which is probably climbing. So I ride O2. But this is something, again, it depends. So are you riding fast enough for the aero benefits to matter, right? So I mean, the research shows that if you're going above like 25 or something, then it starts to show. But the faster you go, the benefits gets smaller, right? I think general rule of thumb is that for an amateur rider, I think non-aero makes sense because it's comfort. I mean, aero bikes, because with the tubes so thick, right? Generally, they're not so compliant and not so comfortable. It's a trade-off. There's definitely a trade-off. So by and large, climbing bike is going to be, so the O2 is going to be more comfortable than Ostro. Then it's basically what trade-offs you are willing to give. So if you want to be fast, then yeah, I'll go for the Ostro. But if your priority is comfort, long distance, just want to enjoy the ride, maybe want to throw in some climbs, then yeah, I think O2 is a great choice, man.
Okay. Amongst all the three bikes, which is your favorite and why?
Oh shit, this is hard one. Oh, this is really hard. I spend most time on Ostro right now. I would say I love the Ostro. Yeah, I'll say the Ostro. Yeah.
And the reason why?
I mean now I spend a lot of time preparing for races and so forth. So I mean that would be the arrow in the quiver that I'll pick lah, essentially. As I say, I'll always have a soft spot for the O2, but I mean there's terrain and times to ride it. But I ride Ostro more now, and I think that's where I kind of like it a bit more now. And okay, the color also is national. It's a flag, I only got so many chances to fly this flag. Yeah.
And then speaking of the color, right? It's by factor. It's not spray painted here locally or anything.
Yeah. So I think the cool thing is that RS has built such a good relationship with the factory that they are willing to do these things for us. Yeah.
And I can't buy this off the shelf.
You can't. So I think you gotta ask Felicia. You probably need to buy her a meal or maybe more than a meal to convince her to submit this to the factory.
Yeah. Maybe get an Oompa Loompa version, man. If you're a Singaporean, you will understand this question. Is this home truly?
Why not? Yeah, why not? Yeah, it is. I mean, I fly the flag, and I'm proud to fly the flag. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. How would you compare an Ostro VAM to a Dogmar or a Madone 9 Generation 7? Wow, so specific.
Wow, that's super specific. Yeah. So I think my belief is that you can't diss what you didn't try. So it's not fair for me to comment on the other two bikes. I basically for anyone buy a bike, I think that you buying from a reputable brand. I think you're in a good place. And it boils down to your personal preference, right? What you're looking for, the aesthetic, and the teams that you like, who is riding it. I really struggle to comment without riding the bike. Yeah.
Okay. Last question or last topic for the day. Don't think we've covered this, but nutrition.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel on the bike? What do you store in your drinks?
Yeah.
Do you have a very strict nutrition regime?
Yeah. This is a super good question. I think it reminded me something about training tips also. So I think there are three things to performance again. So fitness, so training, and then the other one is rest and nutrition. All of them are equally important. A lot of people focus on training; they don't focus on rest and nutrition. So, nutrition wise, I use Tailwind. So there's a shop called Red Dot Running that distributes it. I think. So I've been using that. I think it's the taste is very very neutral. Not super sweet. So
Is it like carbo powder?
Yeah, it's it has some electrolytes, and it's mostly like energy, like sugars, right? Complex sugars. So so because it's not sweet based on their formula, I can dump in like 3 scoops or even 4, and it wouldn't be like disgusting to drink. So that's why I like Tailwind. So I buy the flavorless version called Naked. Yeah, essentially. And in the past, I was at least for the Road National Champs, before the Road National Champs, I was using another brand from Red Dot is Megon. I'm not sponsored by Red Dot, by the way, but I think the brands they carry is really cool. So I tried a gel called Megon, so it's from Japan. So the flavors are very natural, so very fruity, tarty flavors. So when you're very tired, and then the sourness kind of kicks in, it's really nice. But I think more recently, for Net Champs, for Road and TT, pre-TT, I took a gel, right? So I've been using this brand called Velo Forte, also distributed by Red Dot Running. And I think people are really asking when I'm sponsored. I'm not sponsored. So I moved to Velo Forte because there's this guy called Alex Dowsett that uses it. He's one of the role models I look up to as well, Alex Dowsett. So I tried that gel. I really like it. So I guess I'm a guy about marginal gain. So what I didn't like about the Megon is the pack design. It's very hard to squeeze out everything with one hand. And when you're riding at like 60 km an hour, you need to do it with one hand. And the one with Velo Forte is that the way the thing is designed is more narrow. So it's easy to use a thumb to just squeeze out. So so to me, taste is important, but not super important. I think it all boils down to performance. Yeah.
And the time you spend doing that, and wow, I never thought about that.
I'm quite
Clearly, I'm not a racer.
I think I'm particular on a lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And just in terms of day-to-day eating, are you very picky on what you eat?
So gels are super expensive. So I don't use gels all the time. So what I do is also make rice cakes. I love rice cakes. So that was something that Chetty, so Mark Chadwick, is another coach at SCF, kind of taught us how to do. So sometimes, recently I'm a bit busy, but in the past I used to do it quite frequently. Every Friday I will make a small pot of rice and make rice cakes. So fillings are like Nutella, or I made Biscoff once before, I made Oreo once before. So
with rice?
Yeah, with rice. So you basically boil sushi rice and make sure that it's like, you add a bit more water than usual. So it's like more like pasty. Then you kind of mix the ingredients, the filling inside, and then you wrap it up with like, some people use cling wrap, I use parchment paper, baking paper. And you just stuff in your pockets. And you must fold in a way that it's easy to eat with one hand.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's so much cheaper than gel. Right? Gel one is like what, $4?
Yeah. But which is more effective?
So there's a timing. So basically because when you think about it, is when you eat, right, it's not just about like the formula, right? Whether it's like scientifically, gonna be like rocket fuel. It's also about whether you can digest it, and it's also motivation, right? Whether you're going to be able to swallow it. Because if you dread eating, you're going to skip the fueling times and then you're going to bonk, right? So generally my formula is that for the first hour or two, I'll take rice cakes. And then generally in the later stage of races, it's normally more intense, and then that's when you it's a bit harder to kind of roll to the back and have a rise kick. So that's when I start using gels, and the energy is faster. So when attack comes, I'm fully energized, and also because as time progresses, you think that your blood is on your legs already, right? So your digestion is not so fast.
Yeah.
So at some point you can feel like if you feel like the rise kicks are sitting, you're like, okay, it's time to change now. So I take gels, and then always have the electrolyte drink in my bottle.
Yeah.
To have some sugars also.
Where's your favorite route to ride in Singapore?
Oh yeah, so I love the farms. So it's the west side. So I've got a route called Physical 100 that it's a 100 km route. I do it with my friends sometime. Basically, from where we meet, like Thomson Car Park, right? Then we ride up to Mandai, then take a ride, do the Neo Tiew part. So we make a lot of strange loops in Neo Tiew, the Neo Tiew area. We come out Lim Chu Kang, then down to the fish farms. So Jalan Lekar, again do some strange pattern.
I think that's where Boon likes to ride also, right?
Yeah, so
I always see Strava is like funny places, man.
Right. So for races, essentially we are trying to get bang for buck. Every time you stop for traffic light, it's time wasted, and then you kind of ruin the endurance training essentially, because every time you stop, you rest, right, essentially, right? So we try to choose low traffic routes. I think that's one of the routes that I know has super few traffic lights. So I can go for a 4-6 hour ride if I just stay there. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably need to stop like 4 or 5 times, man. So it's very efficient. So I think that's why we choose that road. And yeah, I like the road because it's low traffic, no traffic lights, and good scenery lah. I mean, it's countryside. Where else in Singapore you find such nice countryside?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. We are time.
Yeah.
Airtime. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Free airtime, by the way. I always like to give my guests free airtime if they have anything they would like to pass message on to the YouTube world, anyone's watching, your friends or whoever.
Okay. So I guess I want to end my one with a call to action. So as I say, I want to be a role model for the youth, and I think that role models are not enough. I think at the end SCF needs support. So three calls to action. One is go support your local racers. There's a reason why races in Singapore are expensive, because there are no sponsors, and no sponsors because no participation. So as long as you start participating, sponsors know that there are people watching these races. The sponsors will come in, and then your tickets get cheaper, right? So please go start racing. Second thing is if you can, then donate to SCF. I think they are running some incredible programs for the youth. I understand that they're building a BMX riding is opening soon. I'm not clear about the velodrome plans, but I know they've been working super hard to make sure that they are setting the pathway right for the youth. But you can't do a lot of things without money. And I think the last point is if you can support in a non-monetary way, so that you have good experience like managing events, soliciting sponsorships, or even coaching youth, right? Even setting up a club team, even. So yeah, do something to help the community lah, and hopefully we have a next SEA Games medal winner very soon. Yeah, Olympic medal winner even. Yeah.
Really, thank you so much. You've been
Thanks
a wonderful
so much,
guest.
man. Thank you.
All the best with your
Appreciate it.
cycling competitions, a career, and
Thank you.
I'm gonna include an artificial applause here.
Okay.
We've got no audience, but really everybody.
Thanks.
You broke my heart once again. I won't buy the dust in return. I